Right now, you are staring at a screen. And the odds are you have been staring at one for most of today. You probably woke up and checked your phone before your feet hit the floor. You worked on a laptop. You watched something on a TV. You scrolled before bed. And somewhere in the back of your mind, you have always suspected this is bad for you. But the real answer is far stranger than you think. Because what screens are doing to your body is not just about tired eyes or lost sleep. It goes deeper, much deeper. It rewires you. Start with the most obvious thing first. Your eyes. Your eyes were not built for this. For nearly all of human history, your ancestors spent their days scanning wide open spaces, horizons, forests, savanna grasslands stretching for miles. Your visual system evolved over hundreds of thousands of years to track things at a distance, to shift focus rapidly between near and far, to stay alert to movement at the edges of your field of view. None of that prepared you for spending 8, 9, 10 hours a day staring at a glowing rectangle held 30 centimeters from your face. What happens when you stare at a screen for long periods is called accommodation. Your ciliary muscle, the tiny ring of muscle inside your eye that controls the shape of your lens, contracts to pull your lens into a rounder shape so you can focus up close. Hold that contraction for hours, and the muscle fatigues. The lens stiffens. When you finally look up and try to refocus on something far away, there is a delay, sometimes a blur, sometimes a dull ache behind the eye that spreads into the temples. Optometrists now have a clinical name for this: computer vision syndrome. Studies by Dr. Jeffrey Anschel, a specialist in optometric ergonomics, estimate it affects up to 75% of people who work at screens for more than 2 hours a day. But the fatigue is only part of the story. There's a second mechanism at work, and this one is permanent. Researchers have been tracking a global rise in myopia, or nearsightedness, for decades, and the data is alarming. In East Asia, where screen use and close-up reading starts young, rates of myopia among young adults have climbed to 80 or 90% in some urban populations. A generation ago, that number was closer to 20%. Dr. Ian Morgan at the Australian National University, who has spent years studying this epidemic, found that the single biggest predictor is not genetics. It is time spent indoors, close to a screen or a book, with too little exposure to natural outdoor light. Here is the mechanism. When your eye is exposed to bright natural light, a signal is sent from the retina that tells the eye to stop growing. When that signal is absent, because you are indoors under artificial light staring at something close, the eyeball continues to elongate slightly. And an elongated eyeball means light that enters the eye focuses in front of the retina instead of on it. The world goes blurry. And unlike muscle fatigue, this is structural. The shape of your eye has changed. Every hour a child spends outside reduces their risk of myopia by a measurable amount. Every additional hour indoors at a screen increases it. You may not be able to undo the myopia you already have, but you are probably making it worse right now. And that is just your eyes. Move up slightly into the brain, and things get considerably more complicated. When you sit down and open your phone, your brain does not treat this the way it treats opening a book. A book is linear, passive. Your brain follows a single thread and builds a sustained narrative in working memory. A screen is something else entirely. It is a dopamine delivery system. Every swipe, every notification, every new post or video or headline is a micro burst of novelty. And novelty triggers the release of dopamine in the nucleus accumbens, the reward center of your brain. Dopamine does not make you feel pleasure exactly. It makes you want. It creates anticipation. It pulls your attention forward. And when you are rewarded with something interesting, the cycle reinforces itself. You want more. You swipe again. Another microburst. Another tiny hit. This is not a metaphor. It is a neurochemical loop that operates on the same circuitry as addiction. Dr. Anna Lemke, a psychiatrist at Stanford University and author of research on the neuroscience of reward, has described the modern smartphone as a slot machine in your pocket. The intermittent reinforcement schedule, where rewards come unpredictably rather than every single time, is the most powerful behavioral conditioning pattern ever identified. Pigeons will peck a lever until they collapse if the food comes on a random schedule. And your brain, built by millions of years of evolution to find patterns and chase rewards, has no defense against a machine that was deliberately engineered to exploit that system. What this does over time is subtle but profound. The baseline level of dopamine your brain considers normal begins to shift. Regular life starts to feel flat. Conversation feels slow. The silence between moments becomes uncomfortable. You reach for the phone without deciding to reach for it. The behavior becomes automatic, and your capacity for sustained focus, for sitting with boredom, for tolerating a moment without stimulation, quietly erodes. Studies by Dr. Gloria Mark at the University of California, Irvine, found that after an interruption, it takes an average of 23 minutes to return to deep focus on a task. In a modern workday, the average person is interrupted every 3 to 5 minutes. Do the math. You are never reaching deep focus. You are spending your entire working life in the shallow end of your own attention. And the more you live there, the more that shallow state becomes your default. This is not a willpower failure. Your brain is responding exactly as it was designed to respond. It is simply encountering a stimulus it was never built to handle. Now, let us talk about sleep, because this is where things become genuinely alarming. Inside your eye, sitting behind your retina, is a thin layer of specialized cells that have nothing to do with vision. They do not help you see. They are called intrinsically photosensitive retinal ganglion cells, and their only job is to detect light and send a signal to a small cluster of neurons in your hypothalamus called the suprachiasmatic nucleus. This cluster is your body's master clock. It governs your circadian rhythm, the roughly 24-hour biological cycle that controls when you feel awake, when you feel sleepy, when your body temperature peaks, when your digestive system activates, when your immune cells reproduce, and dozens of other processes critical to staying alive. The light that triggers this system most powerfully is blue light, short wavelength light in the range of 460 to 480 nanometers. Your master clock evolved to read blue light as daylight, as morning, as the signal to suppress melatonin and activate the body for waking activity. Your phone, your laptop, your tablet, your television, they all emit blue light in significant quantities. When you stare at a screen at 10 o'clock at night, your master clock receives the same signal it would receive from the sky at 10 o'clock in the morning. It reads it as midday. It suppresses melatonin. It tells your body, stay awake. The temperature regulation shifts. The digestive system keeps running. The hormones that should be winding down stay elevated. And when you finally put the phone down and close your eyes, your brain does not immediately switch into sleep mode. It takes time. The melatonin suppression does not reverse instantly. Dr. Charles Geisler at Harvard Medical School, one of the world's leading researchers on human sleep, has published data showing that blue light exposure from screens in the 2 hours before bed delays sleep onset, reduces REM sleep duration, and impairs alertness and reaction time the following morning. Even after the same total hours in bed, you can sleep 8 hours and still wake up cognitively compromised because the quality of the sleep was degraded, and the consequences stack. Chronic sleep disruption has been linked to increased cortisol levels, the hormone your body uses to respond to stress. Elevated cortisol raises blood pressure, disrupts blood sugar regulation, increases inflammation, impairs immune function, and accelerates the formation of amyloid plaques in the brain, the same plaques associated with Alzheimer's disease. The link between poor sleep and long-term cognitive decline is now one of the most robust findings in neuroscience. Your screen habit is not just making you tired the next morning, it is changing the cellular environment of your brain over years. So, here you are. Eyes slowly elongating, attention system fragmented, sleep architecture degraded. And it all began with something that felt completely harmless, picking up a glowing rectangle and looking at it. The ancient version of you did not face this. That version sat around fires at night, which emit almost no blue light, and looked at stars, which are too far away to trigger accommodation fatigue, and listened to other humans talk without receiving a notification every 40 seconds. That version slept when it got dark and woke when it got light, and the master clock ran exactly as it was designed to run. You are that same biological machine, running in a world it was never built for. The question is not whether screens are damaging you. The data on that is settled. The question is what you do with that knowledge. More outdoor time to protect the shape of your eye. No screens in the hour before bed to let melatonin do its job. Deliberate periods of boredom to let your dopamine system recalibrate. These are not wellness trends. They are corrections. Attempts to bring a 200,000-year-old biological system back into alignment with the conditions it was built for. Right now, you are staring at a screen. And now you know exactly what it is doing to you while you do.